Welcome to From the Shed End podcast with myself, TDOT. As always, thank you very much for joining me. Now, before we get into the content, I have a massive favor to ask from you guys who are watching this video. I'm going to show you the YouTube channel From the Shed End. This is the channel. We only have 46 subscribers. Our first milestone is to try and get 50 subscribers. So anyone who's watching this video or any Chelsea fans that's somehow come across this video, please make sure you subscribe to the channel. It is definitely appreciated 110%. Yeah, you know, I can't really say more than that. Obviously, we appreciate everyone that is subscribed to the channel already. We do put our episodes up from the actual podcast that myself and Theo do as well. So, you know, there is the video podcast, but there is also match reactions, play ratings. There is going to be watch alongs very soon. So stay tuned for the watch alongs as well. But yeah, appreciate anyone that can and has already subscribed. And if you haven't, make sure you smash the subscribe button and the like button as well. It helps with the algorithms. It helps the video be seen by more people. So we appreciate anyone that can do that for us. But let's get straight into it. We've got a massive game Sunday, Crystal Palace, Wembley, FA Cup semi-finals. Of course, this is a massive game for Chelsea. It's a massive game for Crystal Palace as well. Let's have that right. Let's respect our opponents. This is a massive game for both teams. Thomas Tuchel didn't really give much away earlier on his press conference. We do have a fully fit squad bar Ben Chilwell and Callum Hudson-Odoi, which was the obvious two that were going to be out of the game. Lukaku's back in training. I think Thomas Tuchel said that it's going to be assessed during the next 48 hours ahead of the game whether he can start. There's obviously a lot of tired legs. Now we have to bear in mind, you know, these players played a high intense game against Southampton, and also the game on Tuesday against Real Madrid was a massive game, extra time. A lot of tired legs in that game. So I do think there'll be a couple of changes. But if I'm going to be honest, I don't think Thomas Tuchel needs to really change too much about the team that was out there on Tuesday night against Real Madrid. I think it'd be a shame to drop some of the players based on the form as well. You look at a Timo Werner, a Ruben Loftus-Cheek, these kind of players that were brilliant, not just in the Real Madrid game, but Southampton as well. It'd be hard to drop them. And even if Lukaku is fit, I think, you know, it's going to be difficult to drop them, in my opinion. But of course, we have to think about Crystal Palace, who might sit back, might try and get us on the counter attack as well, which I think they will do. I think Eze and Elise are both fit to start the game for Crystal Palace, so we do have to bear that in mind, that they are a very good attacking team. Obviously, the massive absentee for them will be Conor Gallagher, who it's been confirmed a couple of days ago now that he won't be playing in the FA Cup for Crystal Palace. There was a rejection from Chelsea. I think that was agreed by the FA as well. Thomas Tuchel did say though today in his earlier press conference that was the whole agreement altogether from when he went to Crystal Palace, that he wouldn't play against his parent club. So I don't think it's common, I don't think it's news to Chelsea fans, or it shouldn't be news to Crystal Palace fans. It sounds like it was in the deal as part of the loan that he wouldn't play against Chelsea. FA Cup, League Cup, Premier League games, he's just not going to play against Chelsea. So disheartening for Conor Gallagher, because I think he's definitely a player that deserves to play these kind of games, these big moments, big occasions at Wembley. But against his parent club, it makes no sense. Why would you put someone out who is arguably Crystal Palace's best player this season? Why would you want him in the team? And he's your own player. So it didn't really make sense to me if he was going to play. I'm glad that he's not, of course, but we do have to still guard against complacency. You know, they have some very good players. You know, they have a very good squad, a good manager in Patrick Vieira as well. I think that's in 10th in the Premier League, so they're doing really well. But we do have to guard against complacency. There is going to be, like I said, some tired legs in our squad. Let me get straight into the team that I would pick. I'm not saying this is the team that will start, but this is the team that I would pick. Of course, Mendy in goal. I would stick to the back three, 2 wing backs. But I've gone for Mendy in goal. Now, I think it's going to be hard to drop Ruben Loftus-Cheek. I think he's proven the last 2 games that he has a role to play of some capacity. I said a couple of weeks ago on the podcast that I don't necessarily see him staying at Chelsea. but and Theo rightfully said on the podcast that he does have a role to play, and whether that's in cup competitions, i.e., against Real Madrid or even against the Crystal Palace on Sunday, he's definitely got a role to play, and he looks like he's trying to force that as well himself, Ruben Loftus-Cheek. So I've moved him into midfield, which I'll explain shortly, but I've put Azpilicueta at right wing back, who I think is a player that obviously didn't play against Real Madrid. He's had a full, he was missing against the Southampton, the fixture as well, I think due to COVID. So he's back. For me, I'd put him back in the team. I'd put him at right wing back for the simple fact of the front three or the front two, which however Crystal Palace are going to set up, just for the pace that they've got up front, the strength of some of those players. And you do need someone who's just a bit more quicker. And I think, Reece James, we know, can play right centre back as well. The option to switch to two of them as well during the game, however, it takes me back to, I think it was Leicester in the FA Cup final last season, and I think that happened. I think at one point Thomas Tuchel switched Reece James and Azpilicueta over to cope with the Leicester players as well. So I think it would be the same thing. I think I'd put Reece James right centre back. Now Thiago Silva. It's difficult because I think, Thiago Silva is a player that we're expecting a lot from. He looked shattered on Tuesday. He looked shattered, rightfully so. 37 years of age, still playing at the top of his game. He looked shattered, but I just don't think we can afford to not play him. If I had an option, maybe Chalobah, maybe Christensen, but I just think in a game like this where we're kind of hoping we get to the final, and we're going to obviously play either City or Liverpool, but we're going to get to the final. We need someone with experience in this game. I think Patrick Vieira he's not shy of FA Cup semi-finals and finals in his playing career. So I think he'll be up for this game 100%. He'll have fed that into the players. I think we need someone like Thiago Silva in this game. Whether he starts or whether he comes on, for me personally, he has to start this game. Yes, 37. Yes, he played a lot of football on Tuesday, but you've got to have him in the team for me anyway, in my opinion. But of course, Tony Rudiger, you can't leave him out the team. We doubted him a few months ago, myself included. I know Theo did at one point as well. We were hearing 400,000 a week. I think from what I can remember before the sanctions were in place, 230,000 a week was what Rudiger had provisionally, in principle, agreed with Chelsea as part of his new contract. Whatever the figure is now, whatever the numbers are, whatever he wants, we've got to give it to him, because to me, he's the only player in that back line that reassures me, very rarely puts a foot wrong. Of course, we can say the same about Thiago Silva and Reece James, and that's it. We can say about all of them, but I just think Rudiger, I love the fact he gets forward. He makes up those numbers going forwards. He's someone that isn't afraid to get forward and shoot as well. Defensively solid as well. He understands his defensive duties as well. But for me, we have to retain Rudiger at all costs. I don't think we can afford to let him go to any other club in Europe at all, in my opinion. Left wing back is a bit of another one where I'm not sure, because I think, again, Alonso played really well against Real Madrid. But you do wonder how tired are these players. I don't know if it was almost mentioned, but I think Tuchel gave the players a day off. I think he said, they've gone back into training yesterday. They've got obviously today and tomorrow to train before the game on Sunday. But how fit are these players? How tired are these players, I should say? Alonso, for me, I think he should start. But there is a question, does he play Saul Niguez there? Does he play Kennedy? There's two options there. For me, they're not the best options against Crystal Palace. I'd stick with Alonso. We're limited to who we can play there. Maybe put Azpilicueta there and Reece James right wing back, and maybe throw in a Christensen. Maybe do that. But I think for me, naturally, I'd want my left-sided player, the left wing back, left back player that can play there, can get forward like he did against Real Madrid, which he done very, very well. And defensively, again, Alonso was solid. So I'd probably put Alonso at left wing back as well. Now, controversial maybe, but I've left Kante at this team, and the reason I've done that is almost what I said at the start of this around Ruben Loftus-Cheek, who for me is showing signs of a bit of form. And if we're going to be honest, we should be picking the team based on form, who's in form, who looks up for the games. And for me, Ruben Loftus-Cheek against Southampton, Ruben Loftus-Cheek against Real Madrid, albeit from a different position, looked the part. He looked like he was ready to play the two games. So he's a midfielder. We're forgetting this. He plays central midfield. He can play defensive mid. He can play further up the field as well. Which sometimes we see Ruben Loftus-Cheek drift into these areas. And my only worry about him is he kind of, when he gets here, he doesn't know what to do with the ball. He doesn't know who to pass the ball to, and then before we know it, we've lost the ball, and we're having to regroup and keep our shape again. But I mean, even here, he's brilliant here defensively. We know he can do a job as a defensive midfielder. What I like about the midfield, and I think if we have these two here, there's a lot of energy, a lot of creative football can happen with Kovacic and Ruben Loftus-Cheek in midfield, in my opinion. And Kovacic for me is probably the best midfielder that we've got out of our midfielders at the moment. He's again another player that looks really tired against Real Madrid, but we have to play him. We have to, we have to play him. So I think if we can have Kovacic doing a lot of this here, a lot of feeding the ball to Werner and Havertz here. He does a lot of that. He does a lot. So I think if we can have that, we can have the two of them doing that. I think for no other reason, those two for me would be the two that I'd play. It just gives us a lot more energy and a lot more sort of pressing. When we want to press and we want to move forward, we have the players in midfield that can do that. I feel Kante at the moment is having probably the worst season in a Chelsea shirt in the Premier League, maybe. But the problem with Kante as well, I do feel he does a lot of his better work. Here, I feel like he's more better sitting back as opposed to trying to go forward. I remember there was this massive conversation when Sarri was the manager, even with Frank Lampard as well, and the role that Sarri was trying to get Kante to play as well. I just think having Kovacic, Ruben Loftus-Cheek in midfield for me, look, it's going to work. We've got to have faith it's going to work with the two of them in midfield. But the front three, we'd be stupid to change it. We'd be stupid to change the front three, in my opinion. I think back to Tuesday night, the players that came on, Jorginho, Pulisic and Hakim Ziyech, and all three were ineffective, if we're going to be honest. They came on at late periods into the game, but they just didn't look up for the game. I said in the match review for Real Madrid that it is hard to come into a game, the intensity, the pace of the game, and to try and catch that pace. It is difficult. I appreciate that 100%, but I think we've seen Timo Werner 2 games on the bounce back to back put out 9 out of 10, 8 out of 10 performances. And I think if we can get Timo Werner to continue that, one of the things I've said about this Chelsea front three, there's never any consistency. And I think we're slowly getting that with Kai Havertz, who, has found himself this number 9 role, this role of playing the predominantly as a striker through the middle. He's doing that role really, really well. Mason Mount again had a brilliant game against Real Madrid, and again on last weekend against Southampton had a brilliant game. So to drop either of those three would be a headache for me. I just don't even want to think about the front three of a Pulisic or a Hakim Ziyech or even Lukaku, who might he likes these big occasions, but I just think, why change? And if anyone in the comments can give me a valid reason or a reason why we should change the front three, I'm all ears. I want to hear your opinions. But I think, one of the things we have to have up front, of course, it's key across the whole 11 players, but up front, you have to have consistency. And we've not really had consistency with the front three. We've had injuries, we've had a few COVID issues. We've had people just being swapped around because we're not sure who to play in the middle or who to play on the left or the right. But I think, Kai Havertz through the middle, Mason Mount with the energy that he had on Tuesday, arguably, he did put in a man of the match performance. I gave it to Kovacic, but I think, the official Chelsea man of the match went to Mason Mount. And if Timo Werner can put in a shift like he did against Real Madrid, the runs he was making, the difficulty he made for those defenders on Tuesday and on Saturday against Southampton as well, if he can put one of those performances against Crystal Palace, I think we're in the money. I think we're into the final. I can't see why he wouldn't. You know, Tuchel seems to be trusting Timo Werner, putting his faith in him. Maybe there's been a discussion with the manager and the player, and it seems to be working. It seems to be paying off. And of course, you've got the German link up between Werner and Havertz as well. Yeah, I mean, for me personally, that would be my front three that I would go with, you know, for Sunday. But let me know your thoughts in the comments, guys. I really want to hear what you think we should line up against Crystal Palace and what the team should be. I also want to know predictions. I'm going to go for my prediction. I know if Theo was here now, he'd be doing exactly the same. But my prediction is 2-1 Chelsea. I think it's going to be 2-1 Chelsea. I was on Eagle Eyed Football. If you haven't already checked out their channel, if you're a Palace fan and you're listening to this, check them out. Eagle Eyed Football. I said the same on there. 2-1 Chelsea. I think it's going to be a difficult game. I think it's going to be very, very cagey. But I do think we're going to come out as winners. I think we have to. You know, I think if we can get a bit more silverware to add with the silverware we've got already this season, then yeah, it's been an okay season. But we'll have to see. And of course, we have to then beat if we do get through to the final, we have to beat Man City or Liverpool. So yeah, it's going to be difficult, of course. We have another massive game to think about midweek as well, which we'll also have a preview for later in the week. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. This has been TDOT from the Shed End. As I said before, please make sure you subscribe to the channel and retweet the video, share the video as much as you can. And hopefully we can get some of our subscribers up as well. We're trying to hit 50 subscribers by the end of the weekend. So please, 4 subscribers. If you haven't subscribed, smash the bell. Smash the like button and let me know your lineup in the comments as well. Until next week, let's hope we get through to the final and we will be back for another preview and review video. Thanks for watching.